Welcome to Goldboys Live, presented by Pickett Sports Boom Fantasy, breaking down the NBA card. We got a bunch of college basketball, so I got my eyes on all these scores. I will throw out anything I like live, including right off the bat. I'll just give you one. St. John's, I just bet minus 165 on the money line to win the game, up 10 against Marquette. But Brian versus the books. Brad Thomas, a busy day. What's going on, guys?
That line literally just shot up right when you said that. Like, wow, everyone must be. I don't understand like how this is happening. Like, I'm watching this line for this game. It opened at -7 second half for Marquette, but then got bet up to 8. But then St. John's money line got bet up as well. So, what do they think? Marquette's going to win the second half by 9, and St. John wins by 1. Like, betting's so weird sometimes. Like,
Yeah, it's a little strange.
I want to take right now because I'm seeing -170, and I'll take that. And if it misses, I'll bill you. I'll Venmo you. Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
That sounds good. Yeah. I guess we got to start with the news of the day, and that is Durant possibly missing the rest of the regular season, man. What a fluke injury. Somebody on Twitter made a good point, man. If Anthony Davis got hurt like that, everybody would make fun of him. It's just hard to believe Durant gets hurt like that. It's let's try to find the betting impact on it. We've talked about Kings division. Is that the way to go? Brad, I'll let you start.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way to go. Like, that team looked unstoppable with Durant, but now it's just back to the Suns and relying on Chris Paul and Devin Booker tandem there. I like the Kings even with Durant playing. Now I like them even more.
Plus 170 still out there. I'll just say it, and I don't say this a lot. I'll say, hey, I like this side or I don't like this side. I think 170 is I think it's flat out the wrong number. I know they play twice head to head, but like you're gonna have to win in Sacramento without Durant. As long as the Kings get a split, I know their next 3 games are tough. Knicks, Bucks, Suns. If you can just get by that, you got a 3-game lead in the loss column. The Suns are gonna lose some games here. That's an okay team. It's a pretty good team with Booker, Paul, and Ayton, but they don't have a lot of depth. To me, that's just the wrong number here this late in the season. Brian, what are your thoughts here?
I agree with you. I'm actually looking as you guys are talking at the line. It was plus 150 when I saw it this morning on DraftKings and 170 on FanDuel. FanDuel has hard switched it to minus 115, which feels right because it was plus 170 this morning, even with the Durant news. Like, even post Durant getting hurt last night, it was still plus 170. But yeah, I think we got some value there because I mentioned it last week on the show. I got it at plus 230 a week ago, so I do think that's the way to go. I just think if you can get the plus money somewhere, if it's still out there, I think it's worth a stab because there's not that many games left, and they're already up 3 games on the loss column for them.
Yep.
Is there anything? Would you bet anything else futures wise? Title, Western Conference? Would you think, hey, maybe? They're saying, and just to give the official report, I don't think we have anything definitive, but there's fear it's a grade 2 ankle sprain, which would keep him out with all the regular season and maybe part of the playoffs. Would you look at one of these other teams, the Warriors, figuring, all right, if they get them in round 1, maybe the Warriors could make a run? Would you just say, all right, now Denver's got a chance here if Phoenix is in the mix, or would you just sort of hold pat here?
That's tough.
That's a tough one because, like we mentioned before, that as good as the Warriors have been in the past, is it the same team we're used to seeing? It's almost to the point where I feel like they're getting so much hand on the Warriors for that exact same reason I mentioned, where it just they have that pedigree where it's like, oh, how do you not back the Warriors? But if you watch them play, if you were to give someone like a year to watch the NBA this season without having any prior knowledge of what the NBA is the last few years, I don't think they would have much trust in what they've seen from Golden State in certain games. But just the fact that we know the group that they have is very, it's just in the back of your mind where it's like, oh, they have to do that. And sometimes they get you in trouble when you're betting and your team's now down 10 at half, and it's like, oh, they have to come back, and they just keep doubling down, and then you find yourself in a bad hole.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like, I'm not sold on the Warriors this year. And if anybody watched that Draymond Green like episode in the middle of the game, like, it just feels like the Warriors are putting more pressure on themselves than they really need. Like, they don't have to be perfect. Just ride out the wave till Steph is fully healthy. But I don't know, man. I wouldn't bet it. I still think the Suns beat the Warriors if they end up matching up in the playoffs.
One other one, I'm looking at college basketball right now. We'll give the listeners a little treat. If it's a treat, only if it wins. VCU Davidson, only a few, 6 minutes left. A 16-point game, so you're not really in the foul zone, but live total 125.5. Davidson's about to go to the free throw line. These teams at the end of these conference title games foul. So I would look at a live over 125.5 there. That's just a little tidbit, but I guess we can get to the games for tonight. We don't have that many of them. as we pull it up here. I guess I'll pull up DraftKings and see what's going on. We'll start Utah and our Orlando Magic, who could not beat a shorthanded Milwaukee team the other night against Brad. This is our squad. They're laying 3 against Utah. Utah sort of pulled the plug a little bit, sort of like OKC, but give me your thoughts here. Magic and the Jazz.
Yeah, Magic versus Jazz is an interesting one. I think that the Magic, I get why the Magic are favored, right? They play really good defense against a Jazz team who doesn't defend at all. I would probably side with the Magic here. From a prop perspective, I had trouble finding a prop that I kind of like. I flirted with Fultz assists, which I think is a solid look if you guys want to take that. But ultimately, I didn't lock anything in. I maybe later I'll think about it, but right now his number's at 5.5, but it's a little juiced to the over. So if you like it, I think that would be something that you'd want to bet earlier than later before it goes to probably minus 150 before the game starts.
Yeah, FanDuel has it minus 108 to the over for the assist for Fultz.
At 5.5.
Yeah, so minus 108 if you like that. I
Yeah.
actually did like that. I was actually looking at. I think it's like one of those games where Fultz should have a great day in the passing department, but his points, I think, at like 16 or 15 and a half, a little bit too high. So I'm in agreement there where I was kind of looking at maybe there might be too much length in the down low for Fultz to score, but I do like to look for the assist. But
yeah,
other than that, I didn't really give this game too much of a look when I was preparing for the show.
Do you guys find with the NCAA tournament, all this stuff going on that we're sort of in the dog days of the NBA, do you find more value, less value? Is it something where, I don't know, the overall betting volume makes these games harder or easier to find now with like a month left in the season?
Yeah, I mean, I just lose most of my bets anyway, so
I noticed that.
No, I was just my volume this week has really not been much, and it's also just because some of it is just I like to let data settle too. Like I know it's like not super post trade deadline, but with injuries and some stuff, I've been finding myself like 2 bets a day some nights where if there's like a 6-game slate, there's some games where I just don't even feel like touching. I think it was on this show when I gave out Jalen Green's under because I figured the Rockets would be tanking, and he checked out with 21 points with 8 minutes left, down 20. And in my head, I'm going, "Oh, sweet! I just won that prop bet. Like, of course I won." And then he checked back in, 6 minutes left, down 23, and played 37 minutes. And that's when I kind of was like, you know what? Maybe the idea of fading these teams is even the right move because I just watched Jalen Green play 37 minutes in a blowout. So
yeah.
I tried to stop reading these tanking teams.
It's interesting for me too. Like I was on Porter threes yesterday. He had 2 threes in the second quarter and then didn't make another 3 for the rest of the game. Like he only attempted 2 more threes for the rest of the game, which was kind of weird. So it's hard because I don't know like what these teams are like mentally going through.
Yeah.
Like the Nuggets put up 90 something points last night at home. Strange. Like it's just really weird.
I think that's like my biggest nugget, no pun intended there, but I was watching that game and it like it's not even like a Jokic stab or anything, but it's very interesting in these games where like the Nuggets are down 10 and you check the box score and like Jokic has like 6 field goals attempts and it's just like dude, like you're down to the Bulls. Like if you ever needed to be quote unquote that guy and kind of take over a little bit, it's like this is the game you we want to see that when your team's down by this much, and then they ended up losing by 20 almost. It was very interesting game to watch. Very concerning game to watch. I feel like if you're back in the Nuggets for like a finals future or this or that, it was just one of those games where it was within reach up until the fourth quarter, and they just never made that push to cut the lead.
They've been so good all year. I mean, look, everyone's going to have them. You're going to point to these teams. The Bucks have stretches. The Celtics have stretches. These teams all go through lulls. It's a long season. They got the 1 seed locked up. So look, I'm not saying they're locked to get to the finals. They're not. If Phoenix was healthy, which is what we've talked about, that they're not healthy, I think Phoenix would probably beat them. But look, if Phoenix isn't healthy, I think Denver probably gets there. I don't, that's the interesting, I guess, question. If you tell me right now the Suns are healthy, all right, I'll put them in. If you tell me they're not, Memphis has all sorts of issues. We talked about Golden State, the Clippers. You don't really trust. I think there's going to be some pressure too. And if Phoenix can't get healthier, there's going to be some pressure on Denver to get to a finals, I think.
Yeah, well, and then to close off that, it's like I just want to say a blanket statement that I feel bad for all the people that spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars to watch Kevin Durant's opening.
Oh my god!
Like, I mean, that was his home opener, and up until 8:03, he was starting. Like it was literally like 10 minutes before the game he was rolled out.
Very strange. Absolutely very strange. Let's see here. A thriller here. We don't. I mean, we can spend as much time as you guys want, but it's the Pacers and the Rockets. My goodness. Let's see. The line is 10. There's some 9.5s out there. Total 236.5. You could talk me into an over here. Neither team really cares that much. Boy, Indiana laying 9.5. That tells you all you need to know about Houston. Brian, start us off here. Rockets and the Pacers.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because you mentioned the 9.5, but I actually kind of lean the Pacers even with that 9.5, just because as you mentioned, the Rockets have just not been looking good, and they're a team there. If they're not hitting their threes,
Yeah.
that's all they have in their bag. So you just like you can almost take like their alt spread all the way up to 20, like Brad was talking about the other day with the Hornets. But if they don't hit their shots, like they don't even like stay in games. It's not even fun to watch because they'll just keep jacking them. The one thing I like in this game is actually looking at Sengun's under. I do think this is a game where if it is a blowout that helps, but 15.5, Miles Turner isn't like as bad, I feel like, as people think. Like I think he's very athletic down in the paint, and he's been dealing with the last few games with just like getting the really early foul trouble. But in this game, I don't see him getting into foul trouble with Sengun because as good as he is, he's more of that finesse player. I don't see him beating Turner at the rim in like an overpowering way. But it's funnily enough, Sengun is at 15.5 points, but he's ended at 16 in 10% of his games. In 60 games this year, he has 16 in 6 of them, which is pretty significant. So I was actually going to wait for lineups and find a way to maybe do like an alt same game parlay type thing with this, which is normally not how I attack it. But I think that 16.5 is a key number. So I might look into like something with him with his under 16.5 and maybe pair it with like Miles Turner, like 14 or 12 points, something like that. Cause I do think Turner has a good game here.
Yeah, I actually like Buddy Hield's points in this game today. They're at 16.5. It's only a point higher than what it's normally been, around 15.5. And we're looking at a Rockets team that doesn't defend. They give up the most threes to shooting guards. They're lazy. Especially, I just feel like Halliburton's going to get into the paint and it's going to be Buddy Hield wide open every single play. So I like his over in that. I actually do lean Pacers to blow them out. Like this is a game where it just sets up for a team that is very bad at passing off and defending with the Rockets versus a Pacers team who they want to move the ball. They want to attack and move the ball around. So I think they put up a lot of points in this game. I could probably think about Pacers team total under. I might talk myself in. I mean, over. I might talk myself into that.
Yeah, I might join you on that one. That's certainly be a way I would go. And the scoring, man, you just see night after night. Some just crazy scores where you can't make
Yeah.
these totals high enough. As Dallas actually under didn't get there last night. Luka got hurt. It wasn't on pace to get there anyway. It was just sort of a slow scoring game. But for the most part, man, you could just pinpoint and just blindly bet some of these overs for some of these teams. The Rockets, the Mavs, the Kings. I mean, you see these 138 to 135 like it's nothing. It's crazy, some of these scores. But another big spread here, Bucks and Nets. This game certainly looked a lot better a couple months ago. Bucks are laying 12. Do we go back to Bridges here? Bridges ended up getting over his point. Boy, Bridges has turned into a hell of a player. Be interested to see what his prop is as we pull that up.
25.5.
25.5.
They're really locking it down. I think you're not helped by the fact that he scored 30 despite the blowout versus the Bucks a week ago. I think without that game, you'd get like a 23.5. But the fact that they've shown that even in a blowout, they'll just let Bridges hoop, kind of affects his line a lot.
Yeah, and there's no Dinwiddie today either. Dinwiddie's resting. Like, I don't understand, why does he need a rest? Like, doesn't make any sense.
Did anybody else hear that?
Yeah, that was weird. I thought it was an echo from one of us, but it was not anyone from our stream, so I'm not sure what that was.
We've talked to Brian in the past about turning his porn off before we come on here, and sometimes he forgets. So,
you guys ever do that big project at school for work, and you just open it, and it's like, "Welcome to."
I haven't, thankfully.
There's singles in your area.
Let's see some of these scores here. Marquette's already cut it to 5 here, so 36.
Marquette is looking good.
Not a good start here for St. John. That's the key when you're a big favorite or you're a big underdog and you're losing at the half. You need that first 3 or 4 minutes of the second half to go your way. You don't want this to be a tie game 4 minutes into the half. So this is not a good start here. St. John's not able to look. They're still at 5, but plenty of time to go.
They're not looking good. Like St. John's didn't come out of the half looking good. That's the scary.
They're terribly coached. Their backcourt's terrible. They're terribly coached. They're going to need a new coach. Anderson's not going to be there past this year, barring some miracle run, which I don't think is coming. Anything else side total for this game? Bucks and the Nets?
Not for me. I do have a play in this game. I did lock in earlier this morning. You can still get it on BetMGM, but I did take Chris Middleton under 18.5 points. minus 120. I do think that's a great look because if you trust injury reports, which you shouldn't, but Giannis and Drew Holiday are both probable. And if they're in, which I think they will be, because like these are the kind of games you mentioned down the stretch, you win the winnable games. Like it's almost you almost see stars resting against harder games and teams like this where you want to just get in, get the win, get out. So I do think they're going to play. And Chris Middleton's minutes have been so low. He just came off his first 30-point game in forever. So I think if they both play, they're going to be really cautious with how many minutes he sees. And in the games he's played with Drew and Giannis healthy, the last 10 games, he's only averaging 15 points in those games. So I just think he probably draws a little bit of Mikal, a little bit of like those kind of tougher wing defenders. And Giannis is such a plus matchup at the rim. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a 30-point Giannis game. They're up 20 at the end of 3 quarters, and Middleton just kind of sits there with like, say, 12 points, maybe some dimes, maybe some rebounds. But I just don't see him seeing enough field goal volume or enough minutes to kind of score 20 here.
Goldboys Live, Pickett Sports, Boom Fantasy, check them out. Boy, it's funny to say this, and we won't get to Kings Knicks, but that is the biggest game of the night. We'll save that one for last. It's funny just to say that's the biggest game of any night to talk about the Kings,
especially if you're betting the Kings like we are. We're big Kings
for sure, absolutely, yeah, it's a huge game for us. But another interesting game: the Warriors and the Grizzlies. Plenty of trash talk between these two teams. We know the rivalry. The Warriors have been terrible on the road, but they are laying 2.5. It's a super odd line if you're just sort of not really locked into what's going on. Like, why are they only laying 2.5? Why are they laying 2.5 when they've been so bad on the road? Memphis, for all their issues, have been good at home. Brian, start us off here. What do you make of this Warriors laying a couple of points in Memphis?
I think JD made the tweet earlier, and I wish there was a line of if you can bet the technical fouls in this game.
Yeah.
It's got to be set at 3.5. I don't know what's going on with this smack talk between Draymond and Dillon Brooks. They're trying to have this contest before tip-off if who can be the biggest asshole, and they're both winning, so it's kind of crazy to think about. It's one of those things where I like the Warriors in this spot despite being on the road because as good as the Memphis Grizzlies are at home, I mean, they just have looked not horrible. Great recently. I mean, we talked about the Lakers. Lakers handled business there for the most part. Like that was a fun game to watch, but yeah, I mean, they're just kind of a mess, not just in the basketball realm where they're missing players. They're a mess in terms of like their locker room's kind of a mess. Like their whole, team is just kind of in turmoil. So I honestly would not touch either side of this game, but I would look for maybe like a Dillon Brooks or like somebody's under, maybe a Draymond Green max unders. They get into a fist fight 2 minutes into the game, and then you can maybe cash out. But the one interesting thing I thought in this game is in the last 10 games that Draymond Green has played in with Steph Curry, he's actually crushed his PRA line. He hits he's averaging like 26 a game in those like games with Steph. But it would be a spot I would 100% take first thing in the morning if I wasn't seriously concerned that he was going to rack up like 2 technicals or that sounds like a weird thing to cap, but the only thing keeping me off Draymond Green over is the fact that all these comments and all these like smack talk, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets tossed early or just gets into foul trouble being a little over aggressive.
Yeah, I kind of had the similar thought, right? Like when you see this kind of trash talking a player like Draymond Green who wants to show he's like the man, how do you attack him? Like he's not going to go out there and score 30 points, right? He's going to be a dog in all the other areas, rebounding, defending well, and assisting his teammates. But then you worry about him getting in foul trouble for being overly aggressive because he wants this so bad. Like I considered points, assists, and rebounds at 22.5. I thought it was a good look, but it's just like you said, it's just I don't want them to get any smack talk and then the players get ejected. And you're just like, well, we saw that coming from a mile away. So I stayed away from this game.
9-0 run by Marquette. St. John's has not scored in the second half, almost 4 minutes in. So we're basically back to scratch here. St. John's only up by a point. And
boy, so you're saying double down at plus 150?
I am not saying that. I did not.
I took Marquette minus 115
just now.
Yeah, like 30 seconds ago.
So you just sort of swallowed the juice and got out of your bed a little bit. That's not a terrible idea. I don't like the way this game's going at all.
Yeah, it's just gonna take minus 115 and get out there.
Other scores: Baylor looks like up by 3. Is that game at the half? My little app here is being a little glitchy, but Mississippi State up 9 on Florida. Wake and Miami up 15. Yes. Rutgers up 5 on Michigan. East Carolina, South Florida. Who cares?
Why did I bet Michigan? Like I feel so stupid.
What was the line? I'm trying to think what the line was.
-2. Oh my god.
Rutgers is a weird team because They haven't played well, but they're usually good at home. But they're obviously not at home in this situation. So that was
Yeah.
a strange game when I stayed away from. But boy, a bunch of games. I think we got 57 college games to get to play today. We've already got a few in the books, and we've got 6 or 7 going on now. Let's see here. Should we move on here? Anything else on this game before we move on?
No.
No, I was a little interested in Jaren Jackson double-double. It's a good spot for him, but I just staying off that game entirely.
Another guy that can get ejected or get into like 5 fouls.
Right? Like
Not
someone's
ejected.
getting ejected in this game. Someone 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Well, I mean, sometimes it goes the other way where refs warn them before it. Hey, we know what's been going on. No shenanigans. Any sort of look, any sort of anything, you're out of here. And maybe they don't. Who knows? But the game of the night, as
And
Brian's little, I guess he's kidnapped somebody and he's escaping. Congratulations on
for context, for context, my
Yeah,
friend works
okay.
like 5 minutes away, and he just showed up at my place saying, "Hey, I'm on lunch," and I was like already in the lobby for the show, and he just sat over there the entire time.
you just hear this made up story? You just hear this made up story? Brian just tried to funnel to
What was the
Yeah,
story
he was
again?
just sitting on my bed eating Wendy's. So
I don't think this is getting better. I don't think you're doing yourself any favors.
Oh man.
All right.
at least I fed this one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how we transition from that to the Kings and the Knicks, but the Kings are laying 2. This is a hell of a game. It's a fun game. We talked about the Kings in their division prices. I actually have an awards bet between somebody in this game I like, but I'll let you start, Brian, as your room is now empty. Kings laying 2, total 240, which is high. What do you like in this game?
Before we get to this game, Brad, this is for you. Someone in the chat, I missed it because I was too busy laughing at my friend, but they were asking Messi or Ronaldo, your personal opinion, choose one. They want to know
Better player or who I want on my
that's
team?
what it says. I don't
Jeez, I mean, where are we going
in
here?
their prime, Ronaldo. I would take Ronaldo. He's bigger. He was more physical. His ability to score from anywhere, his ability to score with his head. So yeah, Ronaldo. He bad attitude. That's probably why people don't like him as much.
Yeah,
But
I just
now,
wanted to get the name because I
yeah,
didn't want
he's
Tony to
better.
get mad at me for not checking the chat. So that's on me. But yeah,
Oh, good
Kings.
job.
I mean, we the Knicks are the only thing that scares me about this game is everything in my being wants to lay the 2.5 for the Kings at home. They're great and Fox is back. They look like they're just clicking a little bit. The only thing that scares me is that the Knicks just were 10.5 favorites at the Garden to the Hornets and they lost.
Yeah, bad loss. Up big too, up 16 at the half. Horrible loss.
Yeah. So like that kind of stuff always freaks me out when I'm taking sides. Is that there's some things that go beyond sports in the numbers, and a team that just lost to the Hornets, well, that's a scary thing to try to cap that they're not going to come out with like the most vengeance of all time. But yeah, I would lean the over. It's 239.5. I was hoping it would be a little bit lower. That's a scary total there. But yeah, this is a game where I would lean the Kings, and with the pace, it might be a great look. But I do think Sabonis should have a good look inside. Whether or not, we have Mitchell Robinson down there. He might hack him 6 or 7 times in like a minute. So I do think this is one where the Knicks can deal with some foul trouble with Sabonis being as good as he is down in the post. So I would lean the Kings here.
Yeah, I lean the Kings as well. One play that I haven't locked in yet, and it sounds crazy. Like I never thought I was gonna ever make this play, but I'm leaning towards Kevin Huerter over 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Like even with Fox back, I think he's just playing with a lot of confidence. But he's playing really good outside of just scoring. He's getting involved. He's getting boards. He's getting dimes. And I think that when you have a line like this, he can hit it with just points alone, which is always a welcome sight when you have a guy who gets 22 points and you don't even need the assists or rebounds.
How about this for an awards bet? And I would lean towards the Kings at home, but you made some good points about coming off a bad loss for the Knicks, but I would still lean Kings at home. They've just been so lethal offensively. How about Brunson plus 350 for most improved player? These other guys probably aren't going to be in the playoffs. Brunson's had a marquee breakout year on a team. So it's going to the playoffs, probably a 4 or 5 seed. It's a big market. Brad, you can start here. What are your thoughts on Brunson to win the most improved player?
Oh, I will say this. It doesn't look like the over is going to get there in Davidson. 124.
Missed it by a bucket. We couldn't. There just wasn't enough fouling. That's why you got to
fouling.
Yeah, I mean it's just too much of a margin. That was a stupid one.
I've been on Brunson. Most improved for about 3 weeks now. since the All-Star break, and I think it's a great look. Like you see these guys are starting to sit their players. They're not looking as good. Their teams are losing. And Brunson, if he can come back at some point, like when the heck is he going to play again? But
Right.
why not at 3.5? I think it's a great price.
Well, if you're watching, don't ever listen to me again. I was so sure Giannis was going to play tonight, and he's not.
Wow.
I can't
really?
believe he's resting again.
Maybe he's more banged up. That's not like him to rest, especially 2 nights in a row. Maybe he's a little more banged up than they're
Illness.
letting on. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And yeah, that's interesting. What's the line move to?
I don't know. It just came out, so my guess is right if you said, but at least Drew's playing. But yeah, I don't like my Middleton bet as much anymore.
Yeah, that's tough.
Who would pick
That's
up
like
the
the
slack?
I even mentioned it in the Discord. I took it early, and it was like it was trending to it was trending to 17.5 all books, so I didn't want to miss out on the 18.5. But that's the thing that sucks about NBA betting is that like you either risk the injury tomfoolery or you miss getting a good line. So I took a chance, didn't really work out, but let's just hope Middleton just feels like passing tonight.
Yeah. Anywhere you'd pivot now? Who would you look to step up? Like, is there a good angle to grab somebody else? PRA, anything?
Just not Middleton.
Okay.
I still do think actually this is one of those things where even if Giannis was out, I still would probably fade Middleton because I think it's a tough matchup for him. I just think you're going to get like a 20.5 line now, which sucks for me
Right.
with 18.5.
Right. St. John's now up by a point. This game's gone back and forth, but Marquette has outscored them 14-5 in the second half. So St. John's up a point here at the Garden. Did you jump in on Brunson, Brian?
I didn't, but it's funny you mentioned that. Sorry, that there was a Giannis news was ruled out when it happened. I was giving it a look this morning too. I was actually looking at the plus 350 on DraftKings like as early as this morning, just kind of prepping for the show, and I do think it's very interesting, especially like he's just got to get back because he missed like 2 games. If he gets back and starts playing, because it's so funny how these markets sometimes are so volatile where you miss 2 games in a row and people kind of forget. You see like odds go from say like plus 200 to plus 450 because you missed 2 games and people kind of forget that you're still contributing and doing this and that.
Do we think Quickly's in good shape here to win 6-man?
Yeah.
Yeah, he jumped out of there like a rocket.
500 to 1, 200 to 1. And this time last week, he was like 18 to 1. Then it was like 15 to 1. Then overnight, one night, he went from like 15 to 1 to like minus 170. I think Powell getting or plus 170. Powell getting hurt changed it. And he's had a couple great games. Yeah, it's unbelievable, really. That's an all-timer. My goodness. So you think he's in good shape? Any other awards, any futures you guys would be looking at?
No, I don't have anything in pocket. I'm just gonna root for Brunson and hopefully call that a day.
How about doubling down on the Kings?
I think you double down only if you get a good price. If you get
I'm not laying the minus. I'm with you.
Yeah, if you find a book with plus money, or maybe not saying it happens or hope it doesn't happen, but maybe if they lose to the Knicks tonight, you can get it like maybe even plus 160. It might shoot up. It might be one of those markets where you can just play it by ear based off one game because one game can change the whole thing. Like you see these odds change dramatically because one loss happens or one win happens one side or the other.
I think if they clear this stretch with Knicks, Suns, Bucks, and they're still up like 2 or 3 in the loss column, they're going to be very hard to beat. And these teams play Saturday in Phoenix, but then the Suns without Durant are in Golden State. Then they play the Bucks. Then they get Magic, Thunder at the Lakers, at the Kings again, which is a huge game. Obviously, the Sixers at the Jazz. They still get home for the Nuggets. They do get a couple of they get another Nuggets game, another Lakers game, a Clippers game. I like the Kings here. I think the Kings hang on and win the division. Anything else you're betting, Brad? Anything else college basketball tonight?
Not yet. I want to see where this Kansas line goes. With the news of Bill Self, I just think that first of all, I thought Kansas was going to cover initially, right? Then they have this news, so it moved to 4. Moved from -2 to 4, so maybe not. Maybe I won't bet it, but I mean, Bill Self having a heart attack, like
is that what he had?
Yeah, this is gonna be an emotional game.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
I knew he was sick or he wasn't feeling well. He actually had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Wow. So he's done for the season, probably.
He's in the hospital. I imagine he has to be done for the season, right?
Might have been a stupid question on my part. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. My goodness, I didn't realize that. I've been running around and doing shows and getting ready. I knew he was I knew he was not coaching today, but I thought it was maybe something that he wasn't feeling well under the weather. My goodness, that's a crazy story.
Yeah, it is.
Wow. Anything else? Nothing else catch your eye? St. John's back up by 4. This has been a strange game
John's
here.
up by 4. Wow, up 7.
Let's go.
Oh,
Let's
that's not
go.
good.
Who are you rooting for?
I don't know.
What
I don't know what I want.
did you do? Did
Listen, some people doubled down at plus 300, like Will mentioned.
I
and
had a
now
lot of
I'm
people
sweating.
DM me at plus 300 on Marquette. I think plus 360.
they got up to plus 360
Yeah,
for the game?
for the game.
What was the score?
It was at around. It was like when they were down 12, I think.
Boy, that doesn't seem right for a 8-point favorite down 12 to be plus 360.
I only saw plus 200.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine that was even plus 200 sounds. I mean,
It
that
was
sounds
plus
more
200.
right.
Yeah. Is what I
Nothing else
saw.
you like? I do like Ohio State here in this game that starts.
You
in
like
like an
Ohio
hour.
State?
Yeah.
Man, they won me a lot of money yesterday. Holy smokes! That was probably my biggest college basketball bet of the.
They didn't make it easy, man. They had to hang on
Oh,
for
they
dear
did
life
that?
at the
Oh
end.
my
My
God.
goodness.
I'm literally like, I'm at this like networking event, like PGA networking event, and I'm like, keep checking my phone. I'm like, come on. It was like the worst sweat. They're probably like, God, this guy's because I'm the only betting guy at this networking
Oh,
event,
yeah.
And they're probably this DGen is here, like
Yep.
scratching his face, like trying to get his bets home.
Yep. That game wouldn't end either. It just took so long. It just kept going and going. I do look like Ohio State. I just think they've played well these last couple of weeks. Iowa's just not good defensively, and Sensabaugh is going to be, lottery pick type player. So I like Ohio State plus 4. And I like UConn. I think UConn rolls. Do you have an opinion on UConn Providence? I think they're more like the pre-conference play team that we saw back in November in the Thanksgiving tournament where they're just killing everybody. I think they'll kill Providence on the glass. So I like UConn quite a bit too.
I like UConn. And I liked Marquette to win the tournament. So now, like, if Marquette doesn't go through this, I think UConn's like, all right, boys, like this will be a wake up call. Like,
right.
Which like it's hard to say like if that happens, but I think that happens a lot in college basketball where a favorite ends up losing early in the tournament, and then it helps like the other favorites because they're like, you can't take anybody lightly. It's like kind of wakes them up.
Yeah, it was a crazy game too. I don't know if you saw DePaul and Seton Hall yesterday, where
I heard about it.
Ended on a goaltend, then they waved the goaltend.
What happened? The end of that game was wild.
Oh, the last minute, everyone's throwing the ball back and forth to the other team. It was just so helter skelter. It really was.
I had it on. I was at a trivia night last night with my dad, and it was like on in the corner, and everyone's like worried about trivia, and I was just like, "What the hell is happening in this game?" Like no one knew what the hell was going on. It was very interesting to watch. I will say I'm an honorary UConn fan for this season. I use one of my FanDuel boosts because I always try to find like the most value in a future. And like with a 50% boost, they were like had the worst line by far for them to win it all. So it's like a $25 bet, but I got them at like 40-1 with the boost. So I'll take my chances at plus 4,000 for UConn to win it all. That's what I use my boost on. So I'm an honorary UConn fan this year.
Yeah.
Speaking of college basketball, Will, what do you think about Baylor second half? I'm surprised the line's -2.
I would go money line. I do think the fact that Iowa State embarrassed them 4 or 5 days ago on Senior Day is a motivational edge for Baylor. Like, all right, these fucking guys embarrassed us the other day. They wiped the floor with us at home. They beat us twice. They swept us in the regular season. This is our revenge game. Play a little better defense, which, look, if Baylor can ever string together stops, they're dangerous because they're really good on offense. So I actually like Baylor. I hate laying. It's the same thing with any sport, football, basketball. I don't like laying points with a bad defense, but I do think Baylor gets it done.
Yeah, I took them second half.
Interesting.
I'm reading this NBA reporting. Someone just said that. Have you noticed ever since Giannis stat pad his triple double, he hasn't played. He's still recovering from that stat.
Yep. And what do we got for a score here on my app's loading? 47-42 still?
Yep, 47-42. They're just coming out of the commercial break.
I think this will be a down to the wire game. I don't think St. John's is good enough to pull away. I think if Marquette was going to run away and hide, it would be when they tied it. So let's see here. We got Rutgers up 4. We got Miami up 11 on Wake. We got St. John's up 5 on Marquette. Baylor up 3 at the half. As we mentioned, East Carolina, South Florida, who gives a shit? Mississippi State, Florida. Mississippi State's up 14. And then Ohio and Ball State, 7-4 Ball State early. And we've got about 50 more games left. Are you guys going to veg out, degen out, and watch college basketball day? What do you guys got going on the rest of the day?
Yeah,
Ah.
I'm making. I have to make some TikToks for work, and then I'm literally just gonna once the TikTok's done, I'm gonna be like this. I'm gonna pull my chair. If y'all don't know, this thing goes like this.
Yep.
I'm gonna have monitor television.
And if anybody
Yeah.
else is in Brian's room, knock on the door, knock on the wall so we can hear you. We
Yeah.
want you to be
No,
safe.
it's just me the rest of the day. I have a meeting at 2, and then I'm hitting the gym, which will have a game on, and then the rest of the night I'm probably just watching sports like at an unhealthy level.
Yeah, it's a great time of the year, Selection Sunday. So keep posted to Goldboys. We'll be giving out plays. We'll be back with shows throughout the weekend. So thank you to Pickett. Thank you to Boom Fantasy, Brad, Brian, Goldboys. This was fun as always. Good luck on all the plays. See you next time.